Have you ever stopped to think about that very first spark of human ingenuity? That exact moment when one of our ancient ancestors picked up a rock, not to throw it, but to make something with it. For a long time, we thought we had the answer to who that was. Today, we're going to dive into the story of Homo habilis, a species whose name literally means handyman, and figure out if they really, truly earned that title.
So, forget cars, forget computers, forget even the wheel. Before all of that, there was a simple stone tool. But who made it? Who was history's very first inventor? Well, to find the answer, we have to go way, way back, more than 2 million years, to a time when our own family tree was just starting to branch out. And we're going to meet a creature that completely changed how we think about what it means to be human.
All right, so our story really kicks off with a discovery that just sent shockwaves through the world of anthropology. You see, before the 1960s, a lot of people pictured human evolution as this nice, straight line from an ape-like ancestor right up to us. But there was this huge, glaring gap in the middle. And then, in a place they call the cradle of humanity, a whole new character stepped onto the stage, one that seemed to be the missing link everyone was looking for.
And here he is, Homo habilis. The name says it all, handyman. And they called it that for a very simple reason. Its fossils were found right alongside some of the first primitive stone tools. So for decades, everyone just assumed this was our guy, the brilliant inventor of technology. They were around for a staggering 1 million years, surviving in Africa through some really chaotic times of climate change and shifting landscapes.
And the story of how they found it is actually pretty cool. You've got these legendary paleoanthropologists, Louis and Mary Leakey, digging around in Olduvai Gorge in Tanzania. And it's their son, Jonathan, who actually finds the key fossils. They even nicknamed the discovery Johnny's Child. And you have to understand, this wasn't just some other old bone. It was a total game changer. It added a brand new and very controversial branch to our family tree.
Okay, so what was it actually like for our handyman ancestor 2 million years ago? Let's try to peel back the layers of time and really build a profile of this creature. What did it take to survive in a world filled with massive predators and constant change?
Well, Homo habilis was this fascinating mix of old and new. It was kind of like a mashup. On one hand, it still had these long, ape-like arms, which were probably perfect for scrambling up trees to get away from trouble. But on the other hand, it walked upright on 2 legs, just like us. And most importantly, its skull was starting to round out and look a lot more human. You're literally looking at evolution in action here, a creature caught between 2 worlds.
And this right here is the crucial part. Just look at that jump in brain size. The brain of Homo habilis was about 50% larger than its predecessors, the Australopithecines. Now, this wasn't just a minor upgrade, it was a massive leap in brain power. But a bigger brain is a hungry brain. It needs a lot more energy. Which leads to the obvious question, what on earth were they eating to fuel that growth?
Turns out they weren't picky eaters, and that flexibility was key to their survival. They ate plants, roots, probably some insects, but the real game changer was meat and bone marrow. That's the high-octane fuel that big brain needed. And get this, they did all of this without controlling fire. Every single meal was raw. So you can see why strong jaws and eventually tools were absolutely essential.
So, this brings us to a huge debate. Were they these amazing hunters taking down big animals? Well, the evidence suggests probably not. It's way more likely they were clever, opportunistic scavengers. Think about it. Why do all the dangerous work? You let a lion or some other big predator make the kill, then you move in with your stone tools to slice off some meat and, most importantly, crack open the bones to get to the nutritious marrow inside, a resource no other animal could get to. Smart.
And they definitely didn't do this alone. Homo habilis lived in small, organized groups, and cooperation was everything. This social glue was especially important because changes in their bodies meant their babies were being born earlier, when they were much more helpless. That required a real community effort to protect and raise the young, which in turn would have made their social bonds even stronger, and probably even pushed them toward developing basic communication.
For decades, the story was so simple. Homo habilis was the handyman, the inventor of stone tools. But what if that story is wrong? This is where things take a really sharp turn, because new discoveries have thrown in a massive plot twist, and it calls into question the very identity of our ancient relative.
And this is the evidence that complicates everything. Just look at this timeline. The oldest known stone tools we've ever found are 3.3 million years old. That's nearly 1 million years before Homo habilis even shows up in the fossil record.
Even the tools found with another species, Australopithecus garhi, are about 200,000 years older than our so-called handyman.
The implication here is just enormous. It means Homo habilis almost certainly wasn't the inventor of stone tools. They were likely just inheriting a technology that was already ancient by their time. This totally reopens the case. Who were the original inventors? Other species like Australopithecus are now prime suspects. Even the so-called nutcracker man, Paranthropus, who lived nearby, is back in the running. The very name handyman is suddenly on very shaky ground.
So where does all this leave Homo habilis? Well, this uncertainty basically forces us to let go of that simple, straight-line story of human evolution and embrace a reality that's a lot more complex and, frankly, a lot more interesting. It's time to rethink the legacy of Homo habilis and its place on our family tree.
And trust me, these scientific debates are still raging today. Was habilis even the first true member of our genus Homo, or was it just a brainier version of an Australopithecus? Was it our direct ancestor, or did it actually live at the same time as its supposed descendants like Homo erectus for 500,000 years? And the big one, was it an innovator or just a user of someone else's tech? The classic view is being challenged from every direction.
So the most important thing to take away from all this is that human evolution wasn't that neat, single-file march of progress you see in cartoons. It was a messy, crowded world. For a very long time, the landscape in East Africa was shared by multiple different kinds of early humans, all experimenting with different ways of surviving. Homo habilis was just one of those experiments, living alongside its cousins like Homo erectus and Paranthropus boisei. I absolutely love this quote from researcher Fred Spoor because it paints the perfect picture. He says our history isn't a single chain. It's a vast, bushy tree with tons of branches. Some of those branches flourished and continued on, but many, many more were just evolutionary dead ends. Homo habilis is one of those crucial lower branches. It's connected to us, sure, but it's part of a much more intricate and tangled story than we ever imagined.
So in the end, while Homo habilis might have lost its title as the original handyman, its story has actually become way more important. It forces us to ask a much bigger question about ourselves. Is our own origin story a simple, straight line of inevitable progress? Or is it a sprawling maze of experiments, failures, and a few lucky breaks? The story of Homo habilis suggests it's the latter, a far more complex and fascinating tale than we could have ever guessed.
History isn't dust, it's a journey through time. Here on History LM, we tell it simply and fast. If you love discovering the past in just a few minutes, hit like and follow History LM. Your next journey through time is waiting.